Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If y'all are new, I'm Shanti Richey, and today I will be telling y'all how I became a PCA. So first, I want to give y'all a backstory. This actually started my sophomore year in college. I got really fed up with the retail jobs, and I wanted to do something that was more in my major, something that I would, relate to more in the healthcare field. So I was just like, my auntie does private duty nurse, let me ask her, some more questions on how I can get into this, healthcare field. I ended up calling my auntie and I'm just like, I'm trying to look for a healthcare job, something like what you do, as far as like CNA. And she told me that I was going to need to be licensed for that, which means I have to, go to class, go to school for that and, get certified and all that stuff in that. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm already in school. School is already hard enough, especially sophomore year, getting into anatomy and all these other science classes. So I was just like, dang, like I really do not want to do school again. Like, honestly, I wouldn't have mind if I would have done that probably like after high school. Basically, I wouldn't have mind getting my CNA license while I was in high school because I feel like I had more time, to do things. And not only that, I did graduate early. I graduated like 6 months earlier that December. Yeah, I graduated that December or January. But yes, I ended up talking to my auntie, and like I said, she did state that I need to have some type of license and I will need to go back to school, and basically I'm going to have to pay. So I was not giving up, but I was really depressed around that time because it's like I'm trying to balance school, but also I need money, but also I'm looking for a job and trying to stay active in the gym and just stay on top of pretty much everything. I ended up just doing more research. I ended up putting in applications anyway because I took a CPR first aid class at my school because it was a required course. And I ended up passing, of course, got my CPR certification. So on my application, I ended up updating my resume. So that way, when I apply, they can see like, hey, oh, she's CPR certified and she's also in school, for this type of field. So I applied to many places, hospitals, nursing homes, assisted livings. A lot of people did deny me simply because I didn't meet all of their qualifications for the job, which is understandable, but it's just like, dang. Like, I remember like just praying, and I had made this video on my computer or whatever, just so sad. And I called my mom and I'm just like, Mom, like I'm really sad, like I'm so depressed, I'm trying to find a job, nobody wants to hire me, this and that. And she told me, everything is going to work out how it's supposed to. She said, keep putting in applications, you don't know what they might say. So it basically what she was trying to say was, it doesn't hurt to try. Even if you don't meet all the qualifications, at least you can say you tried and you applied. So one of the jobs ended up reaching out to me, and it's a crazy coincidence because this job was so close by my old house. So I was just like, you know what? It was like walking distance. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna start here or whatever. They told me to send over everything, and I ended up needing a few shots, before I ended up getting the job. Like I needed a TB shot, updated, shots to show that, I am healthy, nothing is wrong. I had to do a physical test and everything. And y'all, when I tell y'all that took a good week or two. Like, it was very stressful, but I was very determined to get this job because this is something that I really wanted. And like I said, I got tired of doing the fast food, the retail job, and it was a no for me. I wanted to do something that I was interested in. I want to talk about how I became a PCA. So I've worked at a few healthcare facilities. We had to do 4 12-hour shifts out the week, and we were off for the next 3 days. And that wasn't pretty bad. I honestly made some good money, especially since I didn't have a car around that time and I was trying to save for a car. So I made some decent amount of money. And I ended up going to this other assisted living that was probably like kind of like 10 minutes from the last one that I worked at. And they ended up hiring me, based off me having some type of experience from working at the other one. Because like I said, y'all, I did not become PCA certified until I started working at a home health agency. They seen that I had, you know, some work experience. And the thing is, y'all, you have to get your foot in the door. It is a big nursing shortage and like a caregiver shortage where they need people instantly. So they are willing to hire you, especially if you are in school, but you just have to show them that you really want the job. That second assisted living facility, I did 7 to 3. So that's like an 8-hour shift. And I worked like probably like 4 or 5 days out the week. And we had some weekends on and weekends off. So if I worked this weekend, I didn't have to work the next weekend, basically. The first assisted living that I worked at before. But y'all, who child? All I can say is move around as much as you can, because what might not work for you at that assisted living or hospital or nursing home, it might be 10 times better at the next one. So y'all, I really had to play it smart and be very strategic with it. So I made sure that I stayed at the second assisted living longer than I did than the first one, because I knew that, you know, I still wanted to be in this field, but I wanted to have more of a flexible schedule, you know, more on my time. So I looked into the home health because, you know, they will work more with your schedule. I had to be very, very smart about this. So I made sure that I gained enough experience at this second assisted facility. And when I tell y'all, each facility that I go to, it gets 10 times better. Like 10 times better. I know more. I ended up leaving the second assisted living only because it was like the ratio, you know, for the caregiver to resident. Because a lot of people, they like to call out on the weekends, or a lot of people just do not show up. Like I said, y'all, it is a nursing shortage. So let's say it's supposed to be 3 nurses on the floor, but since somebody called out, now it's only 2. So now we have to take care of the other person's side who called out and still take care of our side. And let me tell you, me and this one girl, we always got it done. We always got the job done, but it was very overwhelming and very stressful. And I wanted to do home health agency simply because I won't have to worry about, you know, caring for so many people at once, because it does get overwhelming and overbearing, like on your body, on your mental. It becomes too much to the point where you just want to leave. Around this time at the second assisted living, I ended up getting my car. The car that I still got now, that gives me problems, but it's okay because I'm blessed to have a car. But around that time, that's when I, you know, was able to be mobile, you know, work as a home health nurse or a home health caregiver, because you need transportation, you need a car to do that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, I built my experience up. So around that time, I had a year worth of experience. So I applied to a home health agency and they got back with me instantly. Next was me becoming PCA certified. So that agency, the first agency that I worked under that was like close by my old house, they sent me a whole bunch of healthcare videos, you know, CNA videos, PCA videos, and like just different things that I can study with. That way I can pass the test. And when I went in, you know, they gave us the paperwork and we signed everything, and it was just me and this other girl, and we ended up taking our test. And you know, the test really isn't hard. Like, honestly, I would just suggest just watching the CNA, PCA videos and getting on Quizlet. Honestly, it's really not that hard. You just really gotta just study a little bit. If it's something that you truly want to do, you're gonna make time for it. You're gonna do what you can to get in that position. So they won't really move forward with anything until you take your PCA test. That way you can become certified, and that way you can start working. So once I passed the test, I started working instantly, like probably like a few days after. That's when I received my first client. And honestly, it was pretty good. I feel like working under an agency, they understand more and they're willing to tell you more about the resident or more about your client that you're going to be caring for. They will let you know more details about them or more details about their family, not in a negative way. If it is too much for you, something that you can't, you know, handle, then they will say, hey, if it's too much for you, then, you know, we'll find another client for you and give this client to someone else. So I feel like they really work with you on that. You're not just walking into something blindsided, not knowing what's gonna happen next or who's gonna call out. Like, no, everything is pretty much under their control, and they make sure that they assign somebody. Like, if you can't come in, they make sure they find somebody instantly. It's not like an assisted living or nursing home where they tell you, oh, you need to find somebody to take over for your shift. Even though it's an emergency, you know, anything can happen. Life is very unpredictable. So why do I have to find somebody? That's your job. Home health agency over here, 10 times better. Y'all, location does matter. I mean, of course, if you stay somewhere, you gotta do what you gotta do, especially if you don't have reliable transportation. But moving to a different city helped out a lot. The pay, 10 times better. The agency, 10 times better. I mean, the managers, 10 times better. Communication, 10 times better. I'm just so thankful for my job right now, honestly, y'all. This is the most understanding job I have ever had in my life, honestly. But yes, when I got to this agency, I did have to retake my PCA test. So I had to get recertified in that. And it honestly wasn't hard because I remember, you know, majority of everything that I seen from the last time I had to take my PCA test. If they see that you're in school, whether it's for health science, my major is health and fitness management. So if they see that, oh, this is a biology, you know, major, you know, any STEM major, healthcare, health science major, you're in there. Honestly did have doubts at first, and I was a little bit nervous, especially being in a different city, but it worked out totally fine. I've been working at this job since November, so yeah, don't really have any complaints. They work with my school schedule fine. This was my journey on how I became a PCA. Of course, everybody has a different journey and how, you know, they got there, because, you know, sometimes some people might know somebody else that can help them get their foot in the door. Everybody's situation is different. But what I can say is closed mouths don't get fed. I came into this field not knowing much, and now I know a whole lot within 2 years. So what I can say is never be afraid to try. Even if you do get declined or turned down or anything, get your foot in the door. Because you never know unless you try. Like, if I would have never tried and I just would have listened, you know, to my auntie saying, oh, you need to go back to school, you need to be licensed for this, I would not be in the position where I am right now. It's not about how you get there, it's about how you finish. And if you really feel like this is something that you truly want, then I say go for it, and don't be afraid to try and call. Don't be afraid to show up. Oh, and one thing that helped me, y'all, when y'all are going to these interviews, wear scrubs. Wear scrubs when you go to the interview, so they can know, like, oh, she's serious, he's serious about this. You see what I'm saying? Show that you're very professional. Act like you know what you're talking about. Like, just act like you know. Like, you gotta have confidence when you are trying to get a job that you really want to get. Like I said, I've been thinking strategically since I got to college. I knew that I did not want to hear, once I graduate from school, oh, yeah, you got your degree, but where's the experience? I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to leave them down below, and I will get to them as soon as I can. Thank y'all so much for watching. Bye.